Welcome to the Code of Confidence podcast, where we have candid, encouraging, and uncomfortable conversations around confidence. I am your host, Destiny Inspire, the empowerment juggernaut, also known as the confidence queen. And we're here to crack the codes that are keeping us from tapping and stepping into full, complete confidence. And guess what? We're now creating our own. So let's get started. What is up, queens? Welcome back to the Code of Confidence podcast, where we have candid, encouraging, but yet uncomfortable conversations about confidence and what happens when we lose it and how we can maintain it, right? And as we said in episode 0, that Code of Confidence really represents that internal programming that communicates to us how we're showing up, how we're behaving, how we see ourselves, right? A lot of times we don't address like the root of things, which is that internal coding, right? That coding that can happen at childhood, from relationships, whatever that is, our coding is sometimes off, right? And that affects our confidence. And so we are all about, baby, cracking the codes of confidence and creating our own, right? So at the end, we're always going to ask, what's the code for that? So what did I previously think about this situation that now I look at it completely different? And I am your girl, Destiny Inspire, your confidence coach, confidence queen, and your sis. You know, I want this podcast to be something that I can really just be vulnerable myself and transparent with my journeys of confidence and lack thereof in many seasons of life, right? So first, what I really want us to knock off from the rip is, what exactly is confidence? Like, what does it mean to have self-confidence? We hear the word all the time. It's thrown around, and it's even used interchangeably with other words, right? Not saying that they don't go together, but let's talk about it. Okay, sis? Let's go. So first off, confidence is really one's trust in your feelings around your abilities, your capabilities, right? What you are capable of. And a lot of times we get self-confidence confused with self-esteem, right? So sometimes our coding, the code that we have, we have it off because we're thinking that we have a confidence issue, and really sometimes it's a self-esteem issue. But we don't be we ain't talking about this, you know? And I get that everything won't be popular opinion, but that's cool. Like, that's what this podcast is for. It's that space to where we address those things that are uncomfortable and things that we may not have previously looked at in a certain light. So I wrote down some things. So I want to share with you what I have. So Psychology Today. And again, I am a life coach. I am not a therapist. I am not a counselor. I don't claim to be, and I do not try to be. I operate in the sphere of my influence, my realm of education and knowledge. But it doesn't mean that sometimes those things and terms won't be combined. But let's be clear, I'm not trying to counsel or therapy anybody, right? I am a coach, right? I am a queen, sis. I'm your girl. And so we're just going to talk about things candidly and encouragingly, okay? So confidence, for one, it comes from the Latin fidere or fidere, whatever. I'm not Latin, so don't come for me, okay? Don't come for me if I didn't say it correctly. But that Latin term means to trust, right? So the confidence is the trust that you have in yourself, basically in your abilities, what you are capable of, right? Now, esteem, on the other hand, esteem is derived from the Latin estimare, right? Google it. It's aestimare, estimare. Now, I went to listen to how it's pronounced. They gave me 2 different pronunciations. So we just going to pick one and we going to rock. Okay. So estimare, meaning to appraise, value, rate, weigh, or estimate, right? So self-esteem is our cognitive and above all, our emotional appraisal of our own worth. More than that, it says it is the matrix through which we think, we feel, we act, and it reflects and determines how we see ourselves and the world. Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful. Because here's the thing. I'm going to give my own example in the breakdown with self-confidence and self-esteem. And then with this podcast, I want you to be like really introspective and ask yourself, how do I rate myself as far as my own worth and value? And then as far as what I'm confident in, as far as my abilities go, right? As far as what I'm capable of, because those are two completely different things. Case in point, baby, I am very self-confident when it comes to being able to speak to audiences, empower people. I've spoken to audiences of over thousands of people before, right? I do coaching programs with many women. I've coached hundreds of women at this point, right? That's not a fear of mine, right? I don't have glossophobia. I don't have a fear of public speaking. I don't have a fear of speaking in front of crowds. I am very confident in that skill set. Even if I don't really know, exactly the whole setting or how many people's going to be there, I'm confident in my skill set. I've done it over and over. I've practiced. I've got my reps. Doesn't mean I don't get nervous sometimes, right? But the nerves don't take away from the fact that I am self-confident in my abilities to deliver a transformational message to someone or a coaching presentation that's going to change someone's life. Hands down, I'm confident in that, right? But here's the thing. Baby, you asked me to like do some hair or like some makeup or beat a face. It's a no for me. I'm not confident in that at all. I am not confident. In school, math was my least favorite subject, and I was not that good in it. I'm going to be honest with you. My strong points was literature. Back in the day, they called it language arts, right? Those were my subjects, and I was very confident in those. When it came to math and those types of skill sets of computing things, I can't even say it right. I was not confident. I lacked the confidence that I needed to really carry out those functions, or even now to like do hair and makeup. It's a no for me, really. You know what I'm saying? It's a no. But here's the thing. My lack of self-confidence in that particular skill set or that particular function or ability did not change or diminish my self-esteem. I don't look at myself less than or worth less because I can't do something like someone else. And see, that's where we get it mixed up. We think that sometimes we're lacking the confidence, but sometimes we're lacking in our self-esteem, right? If we're honest, sometimes it's not that we don't believe in what we're capable of. We don't believe in who we are as a person. Like as a woman, sometimes we struggle and suffer with our own self-esteem, with our value. And I've been there because there have been things that have come into our life that have caused us to diminish our own value. Because confidence is not linear, right? Confidence can be in different areas. You can be confident in one area and not confident in another area. And that's okay. I am a confident person in general, but I'm not confident, baby, when it comes to trying to do some hair, even nails. Baby, if you look at my nails now, they look real raggedy. I'm not gonna lie. I'm girly, but I'm not super girly. So I don't like going to get my nails done because I don't feel like sitting there. But then I also don't do a good job of painting them myself. I'm not confident in that. But it doesn't take away from my worth. I'm not any less valuable because I can't do nails or hair and makeup like other women can. So I'll pay somebody else to come do it for me, right? But as far as my esteem goes, I know what I'm worth. I know my value. And so you have to ask yourself, how do I rate myself on a scale of 1 to 10 when it comes to my own self-esteem? And now what about my self-confidence? Because confidence even ties into your ability to like overcome certain things. But here's the thing. If you suffer with self-esteem and you have low self-esteem, then you're also not going to possibly have the confidence to believe you can overcome something. Now, I know that these look like they cross lines sometimes, and they sometimes do, but they are two very distinct things. And until we get honest with ourselves and look within, look without before we start looking around, then we can answer that. And I know from my own personal experience. So I'm divorced. In December, I celebrate 4 years being a divorced woman. Love you watching the YouTube and the video of this. I'm making a face, but like I celebrate, being divorced, and I don't regret my journey. It's been a beautiful journey. I would have never picked it necessarily. Like if I had to pick, like, Lord, I wouldn't have picked that for me, but it is, things happen. But I've been through seasons of my life, even in past relationships, to where I didn't have the best self-esteem because I felt like I wasn't valuable. For whatever reason, whether it was a breakup, whether it was something that happened to me or within that situation, and not even just romantic relationships, but friendships. There have been times where, something may have happened and it hit my self-esteem. So not my self-confidence, it hit my self-esteem first, and it caused me to make poor decisions based on how I saw myself. Because I didn't feel like I was worthy, because I didn't feel like I deserved something better, I was okay settling for what I could get. That, my friend, was a self-esteem issue. That wasn't self-confidence, because I don't even know my capabilities until I know what I'm worth. And if I feel like I'm not really worth much, because whether a relationship ended badly or someone walked out on me or someone mishandled me or made me feel a certain way, and now I don't feel like I'm worthy. Like I'm not as valuable as the next woman, or I'm not as valuable as the next person. And so my actions showed that. And they were poor, crappy actions, if I'm honest. This is the Code of Confidence podcast. Can I be honest? These are candid, encouraging, and yet uncomfortable conversations. And so I want to create a culture where we are not afraid to share where we failed at. And I've got to be honest, I failed in many areas of my life. But, baby, I didn't stay there, okay? And that's what I want to encourage you by saying. You can't stay there. But we've got to be introspective and say, how do I really view myself? I had to understand and see myself through the eyes of my Creator. When God first created and he looked at what he had made, he said, behold, baby, it is very good. I mean, he ain't say the baby, but I'm just saying that's the DI version. If I were writing my own Bible, that's what will be in the DI version. You know what I'm saying? So you're not going to be able to find that on your local Bible bookstore shelf, but you know what I'm saying? That's how I see it. But he said, behold, it is very good. So he made us very good. He made us in his image and after his likeness. Male and female created he them. And so when I realized that I'm made after the image of God, and there's a scripture that talks about what can separate us or who can separate us from the love of God. Shall angels, shall principalities, shall heights, shall depths, shall anything separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus. And I realized it doesn't matter what I've done. It doesn't matter where I've been. What matters is where I'm going. And that God's love for me is not going to change. He's not going to look at me as less than. And we have to start asking ourselves, what are we less than? Less than what? Less than who? What are we comparing ourselves to in the first place? You can't be less than something unless you're comparing it to something else. And God never made us to compare. Our objective on this earth is to complete, not compete. We're here to complete our God-given assignment, not compete with somebody else's. Like, simple as that. I don't care how wonderful we look at other people. And I tell my queens all the time, and Lisa Nichols says something similar, like, you don't get to get off free by looking at me. In other words, like, you don't get to look at me and make an excuse for why you're not where you are. You're not able to look at someone and say, oh, well, because they're this, because they've got that. No, there are no excuses, because their assignment is not your assignment. So there's nothing to even compare. And I think that's what holds us up. Well, I know it's what holds us up as women and just in general. But, you know, my audience is to women, is that we compare ourselves. We compare ourselves to what we see on Instagram. We compare ourselves to what we see on Facebook, on TV, and we think that that's where we should be. But you don't know the struggle and the journey that somebody else is going through. And here's another thing. When it comes to self-confidence and self-esteem, just because you have high self-confidence doesn't mean you have high self-esteem. This is going to be uncomfortable, but I'm going to say it again. Just because someone has great self-confidence or high self-confidence in themselves, it doesn't mean they have high self-esteem. Like, you know how many people that I've met on my journey in my life and that I even know personally or just experienced myself, where they have amazing self-confidence. Like, they're talented, they're brilliant, they can accomplish things, they can do things, they're popular, they can do this, they have gifts, skills, talents, whatever it is, money. They're amazingly confident in those things, in those areas of life. But when the lights are off, when the stage is empty, when you got to go home with yourself and sit with yourself and look yourself in the mirror, that self-esteem is not there. You're still questioning your worth. And here's the thing. Sometimes we do things to try to increase our worth in our own eyes. So you have people who are overachievers simply because they enjoy overachieving. They just simply enjoy a challenge. They just like it. But then you have some people that overachieve or do above and beyond, whether it's with degrees, and I'm an advocate of education, but whether it's getting more degrees, getting more information, getting more money, a lot of times, sometimes, I won't say a lot of times, I don't speak in absolutes, but sometimes there are voids that are trying to be filled where the gap is in the self-esteem. I'm telling you what I know, what I've experienced, and people that I'm connected to. And I love them the same. We love each other, but you have to identify that just because you have high self-esteem, high self-confidence, it doesn't automatically dictate that your self-esteem will be where it needs to be. Right? I was confident in like the things that I could do. I'm a creative, like through and through. I love just creating stuff, anything, whether it's content, videos, media, writing, whatever. I'm a writer. I sing, I dance. I've done acting work. Like, I've done it all. And I'm confident in those abilities. But because I suffered at some point in my life with my self-esteem, I would do those things that I was confident in hopes of being worthy for other people or being looked at as more valuable in the eyes of someone else. If I can do this, if I can do that, if I can make myself more valuable to them, then maybe I'll be more worthy. Maybe they'll love me more. And we do that even with our platforms when it comes to social media, right? We feel like if I can look the best, if I can have the most money, if I can really show what I do and who I am, maybe people will love me more. And then on the reverse, I suffer with, okay, if I show them the real me, if people knew the real Destiny and they knew the things that I struggled with, they knew my secrets, they knew the things I was hiding, they knew my internal demons and battles that were going on within me. If they knew these things about me, would they still love me the same? And so I would try to overcompensate by just being really good at stuff. I was naturally good anyway. Again, I very, very self-confident in what I was good at. But I would then use my self-confidence to try to make up for where I lacked in self-esteem. If it came to my body, I was insecure about my body. You know, at one point in time, I've always been a very petite young woman, young girl, little girl, whatever. And so, you know, as a woman in African-American culture, that's not always, doesn't really fit sometimes with our society. And so I suffer with my self-esteem and my worth. Am I as worth it? Am I as valuable? Am I appraised as high as someone who has the things that I lack? So because I don't have these things, I'm going to make up for it with what I am good at. Maybe I can keep this relationship or keep this person with these skill sets versus this. I'm just being honest, like, you know what I'm saying? There's a little. Listen, I'm just being honest and trying to be transparent because I don't feel like we're honest enough. And I know everything isn't for everybody, you know. Everybody's business is nobody's business, but I just wish that we would be a little more open about the struggle part. And that was something that I came to the realization about 3 years ago when I started my entire movement of Destiny Inspire, my Queen movement. I was like, learning things the hard way, I realized it's so much I didn't know because the picture was always painted of perfection, whether it was marriage, whether it was whatever. I felt like the people that I looked up to and loved, and no slight to them, they did the best they could. But it's like people weren't really talking about the realities of life. And, you know, when you're outside of a particular building or organization, or you're outside of a marriage, like the challenges that are going to come, no matter how good of a person you are, no matter how much you try to do things right, you're still going to fail at some stuff. You're still going to come up against some challenges that you don't know how to fix. And whether it's your fault or not, it's your responsibility to heal and grow from it. And so that's what I do with my communities and with my queens. I try to create these sacred, safe spaces of sisterhood because I failed. And we don't look at failure just failure. It's really fuel and feedback. But if I'm honest, like I failed miserably at some things. Very poor decisions, very, just a lot. But we're not there anymore. And as you continue to tune into this podcast, it's my desire and my hopes that you'll be able to listen in on some of these journeys that I've been on. And that as we bring in queens with, our queen conversations, we bring in more women that can share their journeys too, and how we're uncracking those codes, changing that programming. So what's the code for it? The code is now deciphering, cracking, whatever you want to call it. What do I really think about my self-confidence and my self-esteem? We've been coded and programmed that they're the same thing. And that if you have a high one, you have a high other. And as we'll go into another podcast about the 3 different types of self-esteem. There's 3 different layers of that. There's 3 different types. But we'll save that for another day. But what's the code for that? What's your internal programming been like around your self-esteem and your self-confidence? And after today, how are you going to look at that differently? What steps are you going to take for that? This is your girl, Destiny Inspire, the empowerment juggernaut, the confidence queen, whatever you want to call me, your sister. Some people call me coach, mentor, friend, whatever. Just know I'm here for you. We on this journey together, okay? We cracking some codes together. We Inspector Gadget up in this piece, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever character fits that description for cracking codes, I don't know. But you're in this together. You're not by yourself. So share this episode with someone, right? Someone who maybe didn't know this information. I have on my Instagram at Destiny _inspire. I did a reel about that, and it probably got some of the most engagement I've had in a while because it was just information that we never really knew as women about our self-esteem and self-confidence, and how for so long we've been taught and programmed, coded that it's the same thing, but yet we wonder why we still have these voids because they're different. And we have to be able to adjust accordingly and carry it out. So stay tuned for the very next episode of the Code of Confidence podcast. This is just the beginning. This is just the snippet. We are having candid, encouraging, and uncomfortable conversations around confidence, decoding and deprogramming what we've been taught, what we've been learned, what our set of guidelines have been, and we are cracking them down and creating our own. Destiny Inspire. Until I see you again. Signing out, Queen. And this episode is sponsored by the brand His, right? Don't you love that? I am His. I am handmade, intelligent, and smart. Thank you, Aiden and Asher, for this lovely shirt. I love it. Queens, if you can't see, if you're on the audio, YouTube, you guys can see it. It is a lovely shirt with the affirmation of His, which is I am handmade, intelligent, and smart. And we want to support this queen and her kings. They are twins, Aiden and Asher. And you can support them by going to hisinspirationalkids.com. His, H-I-S, inspirationalkids.com. They have an amazing line of affirmations and t-shirts for your youth, your kids. Come on, we need them to make sure they're affirming what God says about them and affirming the positivity and reinforcing what you're already teaching them. So I love my shirt, His, handmade, intelligent, and smart, and I'm all of that, okay? So Make sure you guys go and check it out. Queen Altamisha and her lovely, lovely tribe. I love you guys. And thank you for being one of our sponsors for the Code of Confidence podcast. Now, if you would like to sponsor an episode, or you would like your brand, your business to really reach your audience of those who need what you have, you can actually text first. Let me pull up the number. You can text me at 404-609-1117. 404-609-1117. Text sponsor, SPONSOR. Text the word sponsor to that number, and we'll definitely get you connected. And also, if you're loving the Queen brand, we will drop the links in the podcast for where you can go and get your Destiny Inspire merch, which is Queen merch, off of our website. I love you guys. Thank you for the support and the sponsors.